So, any other questions?
Well, I'm still trying. I'm trying to understand how our group can use this. Okay, last year we put out a card because our attorney told us we could. What would we say? Support or recommend?
Recommend.
We recommended on candidates and judges and amendments. And we were able to do that. We would not be able to say Tea Party, the Florida Panhandle Patriots Tea Party. We would be able to say, are we
You would be able to
Florida
say,
Panhandle Patriots FRA? Or
you would be able to say, and I'm just coming up with a name off the top of my head, okay? Panhandle Patriots Republican Assembly, Florida Republican Assembly endorses Judge X, endorses Candidate X, endorses this person over here. One of the things that we're already working on is a database so that when you want to create a voter registration card, not a voter registration card, a voter card, how to vote for certain issues or certain candidates, you go in and input the data and hit print and out comes the template already for you. So it's things like that that we're working on to make it easy for you. But yes, you couldn't say Panhandle Patriots Tea Party, you would have to say Panhandle Patriots FRA Charter, chapter or something like that.
So we're using you as a PAC.
Yes.
Versus our C3 status
Exactly.
that we keep over here.
Mm-hmm.
so we can take donations for candidates. So we have to have a separate checking account.
Yes, and we advise you not to do that, to take donations for candidates.
Just recommend it goes.
Just recommend, say, hey, go give that person $50 right now. What we do say is, look, you want to create a commercial for a candidate? Absolutely. You want to raise $1,000 to do some kind of door knocking drive for that candidate? Absolutely. But because the laws get really sticky, we're just advising people not raise funds for candidates. That's why when we say, hey, put $100 on your mattress, we're not going to take it. We're just going to send out an email saying, hey, here's 10 candidates, they can each use $10 a piece from you. There's your $100. And
But if
that's
we
what
have money, because we do have some plans to go out door to door during the campaign and really try. We were trying to figure out how we were going to endorse some candidates or different things. So fundraising to pay for that, we just had a gun raffle and raised money for our 2012 election. How do the Florida Panhandle Patriots make a donation to our PAC?
To start it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a legal thing, or do we have to do
That's
something?
legal.
That's a legal thing, so
Yes.
we can say, oh, we're going to give some money to a PAC.
Let me have Jennifer's our secretary, call you about that.
Okay.
Because you just spawned off a question in my brain. But I know for a fact, for you to raise money to try to get a candidate elected is 100% okay. That was the primary thing that everybody asked. And so that's what we made sure we got worked out.
Well, I know we have at least 4 members already.
Yes.
Did you do a family deal? Oh, you just did single? Tony, you're a member.
Well, any other questions about anything I've spoken about tonight? I'll be glad to answer.
Yeah. Did you have applications with you tonight?
I knew someone was going to ask that. I rushed home, and all I was thinking of, oh man, I got to get there. And so when I showed up, I went, oh Brian. But here's the funny thing. I go give speeches about my book and don't even bring my book. That's my life, how it is sometimes. So if you want to join tonight, though, you write a check out to FRA for $20 a person or $30 for a family. You put your phone number on it, and I'm going to call you and get the information that I need from you before we put you in the system and before we even deposit your check.
Have you gone as far ahead as you said state conventions? Do you have a time frame? Are you working on that right now?
Well, I probably won't even look at it till the end of October to have an understanding of how many members we've signed up, because we're having a huge drive over the next 2 months to get membership started. And we already, just so you know, we already have members in 15 counties, and so the FRA has been here. It's just being revived. And so when the president moved here, he lives in Destin at Kelly Plantation, one of those big buildings by the Mid-Bay Bridge that you see when you come over. And so there's so many guys here in the military and way ups that moved here that they said, okay, we want to revive the state and bring it back in and really make it something powerful. I'll tell you this. What I'm trying to do with FRA in the state of Florida is what they're calling beta tests, and I'm just being honest with you. Because I came to them with so many unique ideas that no other state in the NFRA are doing. Number one, nobody's going after Tea Party groups. And I'm like, well, I don't care to be in anything other than a Tea Party group. And number two, they're not looking at the big picture the way we are. They're looking at county level. And we're not really caring about county level. We are, to a certain extent, but we know that the problem we're having is from Tallahassee. And so that's my goal, is to, if you have 50,000 people, let me explain to you why this is so important. If you want to have influence in Tallahassee, you've got to have money. And you've got to have votes. The teachers union in the state of Florida, they have 45,000 plus members. How does Florida Panhandle Patriots compete against that? You can't. Not by yourself. The State Trooper Association has like 20,000 members, union. And the fire protection people and yada, 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 yada. And us conservatives who are saying, look, quit spending my daughter's education money. Quit making me wondering if I'm going to have my liberties tomorrow. We're in groups of 200, 500, 300. But if we combine, now we're represented by 50, 60, 80,000 members. We have to be in unity. If we don't become unified under one umbrella, and I'm just saying this as black and white fact, not that FRA is the golden ticket there, but if we don't compile our power underneath one umbrella to have one voice, we'll just keep spinning our wheels over and over and over again. Yes, ma'am.
If we join now as individuals, and a group of us in the Tea Party or others, can we consolidate that individual vote into a charter member later? Or
yes,
okay,
absolutely. A charter can be, you can live on Hawaii Street and say there's 25 of us on Hawaii Street want to start a charter. What you can't do is say 10 of us in Okaloosa County want to start the Okaloosa County Republican Assemblies. Well, first of all, you're not going to be all over the whole county, so we don't want you to have that name. We want your name to represent the actual area that you're designated. And because there was one group that started called the Northwest Florida Republican Assembly. But look, you're not Northwest Florida. You got about 54 members. Let's be honest with each other. And so they're changing their name to help us out. Yes, ma'am.
If a group tried to back a certain candidate, does it have to have your national support in the state? It can be per county?
You would not be able to say. You would have to have bylaws that have the same bylaws the state has that says, you know what, we got to have 75% of our members vote for school board member X to have the endorsement. But what you couldn't do is if 75% of the members of the whole state endorsed the senator, and then your one little group wanted to endorse another senator underneath that name, you could not do that. So we all live under the assumption that if 75% of us endorse one candidate, there must be something worthy of believing in him or her about. And so that's why it's so high, and that's why it's so hard to obtain. Yes, sir.
So the total of the county organizations, or organizations within the county, they all have to vote for a county office? And 75% of...
No, each charter.
Each charter.
Chapter, I'm sorry. Each chapter. Same charter as chapter.
Yeah.
So if your chapter, for instance, your chapter could endorse someone different than the Niceville chapter could. But if we go to a state convention, because we're not, at the state convention, you're not going to have 2,000 school board members showing up for endorsements. That'll make us pull our hair out. But we'll be endorsing the state senators and those sort of people at the state level and at the national level. But they have to get 75% of the vote. That's just not easy. You can't even get that anywhere.
I know Matt Case has been in. I've been to Tallahassee. I realize that we do have a critical problem down in South Florida with our Republicans that are not real Republicans down there. And I know this is one of the things you said we can fix. But how are you going to kind of like 50,000, wonder if 30,000 of those South Florida Republicans that like those kind of guys are in the group working against us. You follow what I'm saying?
I follow exactly what you're saying. That's why you have to have 75% to endorse a candidate, to make it very hard. Number two, those people aren't going to want to be a member of what we're doing. In fact, that's my goal. My goal is to create so much stink of Tea Party within the organization that a good looking rhino would never find himself a part of. Yes, sir.
What happens if you don't get 75%?
You don't get endorsed.
What if nobody gets 75%?
Nobody gets endorsed. Almost, from what I have seen, 80% of the time someone gets the endorsement. That's why you have multiple votes. They go around and they start asking and buying votes, you know,
They start
all the good conservative stuff. Any other questions? Do y'all know Mr. Allen back there, Larry Allen? I didn't know they were coming tonight. That's my father-in-law, and he just became the treasurer of the FRA.
He also is manager of Marina Bay Resort and was a big supporter on our Constitution Liberty Conference.
Yes.
Now y'all remember it.
Quarter and a half.
So any other questions? Well, how many of you would like to go to Tallahassee in January, February for a state convention? Right when they're making laws with 50,000 members and say, you better get it right in the next 45 days. You better not be teaching social justice in our public schools. You better reintroduce the Constitution in our high school. In fact, there are a group of us now that are forming. We want to take the state of Texas. My mind is so tired tonight, I apologize. The state of Texas benchmarks for education. Benchmarks means in the first grade, for the first week, you're teaching this thing. In the first grade, for the second week, you're teaching this thing. And it's like 300 pages. I downloaded it from the state of Florida. And I went, oh my gosh, this is much more harder to accomplish than I imagined. The state of Texas, they have done such a wonderful job that we're going to take that and we're going to edit it. And we want to say, you know what? You're going to read George Washington's farewell address. You're going to have pictures of Abraham Lincoln and George Washington in every school classroom. You're going to do this. And we're going to go to Tallahassee in January and say, you vote on it, because starting in 2012-2013 school year, we want to have a better educational system in the state of Florida. If we have 50,000 members, I guarantee you their ears are going to perk up and listen. Yes, ma'am.
She just brought home her history book last week. There's a whole section in there on the culture of Islam.
Yes.
Not happy.
I called the Department of Education yesterday about the social justice. They didn't know what I was talking about.
They're like, don't you agree? What's the big deal?
Sounds great, doesn't it?
Justice.
All right, I can keep talking for 3 more hours. I can get my other speech if you want to have 3 more speeches. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
Since you have a minute, to back up, when you were talking about the Tea Party organizations and being more unified, I understand what a big thing that is to get a person's arm around. To even think about it, to talk about is hard because of our identities, because of the way we are. But I recognize that there is strength in numbers, and it has to be a unified number. We can't have loose cannons running all over the place, shooting these ideas out and representing Tea Party, which the Tea Party is a revered name in some people's minds, and we like to preserve that. The principles. I see the South Florida folks getting out real hard with some positions, and,
Yes, sir.
and I don't know when that's going to go over the cliff. That's a big organization. And I'm not real happy about that.
And they probably won't be joining us. I know the gentleman quite well, and I shouldn't say quite well enough. And we've had our conversations, and so